All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. It's our YouTube season. It's SCL season. And with me today, I have my lovely co-casters, High Jump Kick, High Jump, hjkhj, and Mr. Frenchman himself, Slikkles. We're going to be here talking a little bit about the Smogon Champions League RU pool. Uh, Welcome in, y'all. Do you have anything to say to the people before we get into it?
Hello, hello. Excited to speak about RU, some predictions and some insights.
What's up, people? I think high jump kick will go 3-6.
Okay.
No.
Massive pocket mad shit off the rip. Okay. And being used today as our kind of like point of reference for all these teams and like supports players and whatnot is the Smogon Champions League 6 RU discussion, replays, and prediction contest thread made by our lovely co-caster Slikkles himself, approved by Fiend, and then inspired from Suki. Hashtag the goat of RU. And yeah, we have a little prediction contest. If you feel so inclined to participate in that, jump in on that, get in on the action. I'll have a link to this thread in like the description of this video. So, and hopefully this video is going to go up same day. So, yeah, you can hopefully participate in that. But with that being said, we got 10 teams, somewhere like 20 whatever players who are kind of tangentially related to RU or whatever to talk about. So let's get right into it. First up, the Showdown Shoguns, HJK. This is your team. Running it back
This
with the
is my team.
Shoguns. You were retained this year after going, what was it, 7-4 last year, I think?
Yes, that's correct. 7-4.
So after 7-4 showing, which did end with the tour win, retention for the team. So kind of talk to me about that. Like, what was it like for them reaching out to you? Did you really consider not taking the retain? And then what do you think about your RU core right now? You had what's it called? High praise for Heatronator last year, and he's a legit part of the team now. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, so basically, after we won, Lax reached out to me like almost immediately and said, "Next year, if the Shoguns are running it back, do you want to play?" I said, "Yeah, I'd be down." And then he reached out to me again when they eventually did the manager like thing or the manager reveals for SCL this year. And Lax reached out to me, even though Lax wasn't on the team. I was really confused what was happening, but the idea was that they were just gonna buy Lax pretty much for whatever price, and he'd be like a like a secondary captain or manager or whatever. So Lax reached out to me and said, "Yeah, I'm down to play, obviously." And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, so you're probably retaining me and Enigma because Enigma had the best LC record in the pool, and I had the second best RU record in the pool." So that was that. There was really no consideration of saying no to that. That was just pretty much set in stone. And then he added me to their channel or their Discord server before the draft even happened because they were sure they were going to retain me. And
Mm.
that's when they started talking about like other possible retains or like who to get and stuff. And I just threw in like, hey, Tran is probably like the guy that helped us the most in RU. He'd be really useful now. Not just in RU, but he is also like knowledgeable enough in other lower tiers, so he can help out there as well. And they're like, yeah, if we're 3K, we can get him. Whatever, it's fine. He was super useful, so that's how he ended up on the team. I would have loved to get Taunt too. This
Yeah.
is like tangential, but like Taunt also helped a lot. But obviously, I can't be like, yeah, let's get all of our min bid 3K players that I want. So hopefully next
Mm.
year we get Taunt or something. I don't know. We'll see.
That
But
was
yeah, this
basically
year
like
Heatran on the team.
that was basically like the core of the two helpers from what I understood last year who helped you a lot
Yep,
test game wise, etc.
exactly, exactly. So happy with the team. Hopefully we do the same moving forward in terms of our synergy and winning. We did pretty good on that last time.
That is the
So yeah,
name
that's
of the
pretty much
game, getting
where I'm at.
wins. And I think you are, well positioned again for, a solid season. We'll, kind of fill this out as we go through the rest of the list of starters and supports. But just personally, I am very high on the Shoguns, on y'all specifically, just because this is basically a run back. You've done this before. Um, in like a similar-ish power level pool, I do think this year's pool is stronger, and I think like almost substantially so, I would say. But it's all relative. And to have that like prior tournament success, I think is a big feather in your cap as far as being able to say we should definitely be one of the top market RU teams. Slickles, what do you have to say about that? As far as, and this is just like as a competitor in the tournament, obviously you don't want to give the odds too much praise, but like what do you think about this core? and how they might do in the grand scheme of things.
So basically, I kind of talked about it with quite a few people, but I believe that hjk and the Heatranator is like one of the better combos of this SCL in RU. I feel like there's the fact that there's chemistry between the two. They know each other well. They've already helped each other, and the fact that like it's kind of funny. It's the two finalists of the RU ladder tournament. It's kind of fitting, you know. And I believe they'll do very well. I don't see high jump kick going negative. I feel like he'll go at least 5 wins in regular seasons, and yeah, this is a strong team. I don't see like how it wouldn't work out. He has basically the concept of he knows he will mostly cheese or use fast stuff, but he knows when to switch it up to the point where you are not sure and you can like counter team, hard counter team. So that's I think high jump kick biggest strengths.
Yeah, and that is a very notable part of the strategy that you mentioned there. Last year, HJK was very infamous, and he actually continued it into like RUPL this year as well. Just whenever he plays RU, it's just like flip flopping between HO and stall. Like it really is just like yeah, I mean it's just that.
Yep.
HJK, do you want to spoil the season for us? Are you gonna keep doing that shit? You changing it
Well, I
up?
mean, I can't spoil it. If you open up Google and type in coin flip and see what it lands on. If it's heads, it's stall. If it's tails, it's HO. That's usually how it goes. So we'll
You heard
see.
it here, you heard it here first. He's just doing the same shit. Okay. So yeah, that's cool. I don't really have that many other thoughts to say about the Shoguns. You know, this is the core from last year, basically. Heat Generators on paper this time. I'm sure Taunt is in your chat, even if he isn't like he wasn't drafted. I'm sure he's still there.
Yeah, that's
Um,
correct. Taunt is
Yeah,
like a day
that's
one
for
for me.
sure.
Like as
Yeah.
soon as
yeah,
the tour starts, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to get him on board. So he's in there.
yeah. So that's kind of all I have to say about that. Y'all, do you have anything to add? HJK insights to the team, being a second year player now, or are we good to move on?
I think we're good.
All right. Solid. Next up, then, we have the Arena Spartans. This is another kind of run back from last year. Spitfire was the starter for the.
For the machines, yeah. He was basically he wanted to sub
Yeah,
basically because he was
he was
busy, but
Illuminati, right?
the machine struggled in RU, so he had to sub in.
Yeah. I remember this was like quite an interesting situation because my understanding of it was during SCL draft last year, SCL 2025, Spitfire had quote unquote availability issues. And so he thought, you know, going into the draft, he said, oh, I'm actually just not going to be able to play for like substantial parts of the season or whatever. And so he went for very cheap. He got drafted by the machines, and
Yeah.
he ended up like being able to just play a lot of the season, I guess. But the host had to step in and be like, hey, you said this in your like sign up, so you can't actually like start the season, or else like you know you were just straight lying. And that's kind of where it led to like the Ishtar stuff and like their early few weeks of RU struggles. But I don't know if that's true. Like for sure, that's what I've heard. But you know, rumors do be rumors. In any case, he is the designated starter this year for the Spartans. And he is looking a little bit scarce on the support. You have E-Turn and you have Shadow 79 listed there, neither of which are particularly known as being very active within the RU community. E-Turn notably was a manager for RUPL this year, and he did have Shadow on that team with him. But I'm still left a little bit questioning whether or not he'll have the proper team support as far as building goes to provide him with like solid squads every week, especially knowing some of E-Turn's more eccentric tendencies. What do you all think about this core?
So I have the opinion that this guy is obviously a great player. Last year on the technical machines, he was their best player, I think, with a 4-1 record, which isn't
Mm-hmm.
saying much because they were in 8th place. But they
I
had
can
their
imagine.
support wise was I think it was literally just Expulso maybe. So if Expulso was helping him build, then that's great. But like even with scarce support, it's pretty clear that like this guy is a great player. So I think if he can produce like a great result on a team that did really poorly last year, I think with a fresh start and hopefully with some more support here, he can produce even better results or at least remain consistent with what he had before.
Yeah, I
So-
agree. I think like Spitfire is someone that I feel like most people kind of underrate. From what I've talked to players, they say he's kind of middle of the pack, but I feel like he has that clutch factor. He plays RU more often than we think. He plays it in SCL. He played it in low tier World Cups. He kind of knows a bit about the meta stuff like that. He follows it, from what I understood, and I feel like Eternal Shadows is probably not the core that's like the most RU focused, but they know what they're doing and they have great chemistry as well. And chemistry is basically one of the biggest factors for me in a team success. And I feel like these three will get along very well. Shadows is obviously someone very nice, very friends with Etern, I believe, who drafted him in NUPL as well. So they I feel like this core can do better than people think it will do. I feel like I feel like 5 wins, maybe 6 wins is possible. So yeah, I rate Spitfire, I think, higher than most people.
All right, and there it is. He did. You are correct, by the way, HJK. He did end with a 4-1 record, which was, not technically the most wins on that team last year, but
Biggest differential, yeah.
in context, it was the best showing on this team. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, they moved over to a new franchise now. They're on the Spartans, and that's managed by Attribute FC. I don't actually know. FC's not a manager. It's Attribute, and I don't remember who the other two managers are.
Vivaldo something I forgot.
Vivaldo's Pride. Yeah, that's the UU tier
and
leader.
TKO.
And TKO, very good. So okay, TKO. Honestly, that's like a very old head. RU guy. He used to play this back in like the 2010s or whatever.
I actually I feel like I faced him in 2024 and he beat my
probably could
ass.
have. He still does play from time to time, but like that was not his prime. That was not like his
yeah,
the period
but
of his time on the website where he like legitimately associated with RU.
Yeah.
But okay, that's it for the Spartans. We got Spitfire, Ether, and Shadow, and that's that core. Moving on, we have the Studio Gibbles, and this is, in my opinion, the strongest RU kind of battery we have in the tour. Maybe not the strongest player in Diogo Lighthouses, but certainly when you consider the Fellyburn and Master Chief support, you think about how long these guys have been like on the site and like doing shit together. I think the chemistry is off the charts. I think this is just a very powerful RU core, especially with Lighthouses coming off of a very strong RUPL where he went. Or Slikkles, were you on that team? No.
Yeah, he went 5-2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Coming off a 5-2 RUPL best of 3 pool run, like I think Lighthouses is posed to do some interesting things in this year's tournament. But yeah, what do y'all, Slickles? I'll start with you because I think you were on that team, right? So, what was it like having Diogo as the manager in the team tour environment like that? I know it was very tragic actually. Y'all just barely missed out on playoffs after a very tight like regular season. What was all that like? Just being on the team, how was he? And what do you expect from him?
The first thing to note, and I think the most important, is that Diogo and Felly, like, they were in REPL together. Basically, Felly was a helper, and I believe he helped a lot Diogo. So they know each other and they have chemistry. They've known each other for like easily, I'll say at least 5 years for sure, and probably like 8-9 years.
Oh,
But
we're talking like a decade. At this point, it might be a decade. Like it, they are both. They've both been around the block. Yeah.
Yeah, they grew up on the game together. They both had their ups together. So I feel like the chemistry is like once again super important, and this one is probably the best one out of the whole tournament. I also say that Diogo is someone that has great building, and my only fear in theory is that he may fall to like kind of the balanced Wochen core a lot. But with Fellyburn and Master Chief support, I feel like it shouldn't be a problem. They'll diversify it. My only other thing, my only other thing is maybe they will play too honest. And I feel like in stuff like BO1, sometimes you just need to choose a win, to kind of catch people off guard. And I feel like these people are way too honest. They're upstanding citizens. and sometimes you
Yeah.
need to be kind of cheeky.
All
No,
right,
I mean,
HFK, what do you make? Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you, Ming, where if you take the entirety of the support plus players and you put all of their power or prowess into a jar, this team probably has the highest filled jar. Even though Lighthouses is obviously, I would not say is like the top one player in this pool. They're definitely half like within the top 50%. And if you include all the support, yeah, obviously like support plus play wise, this is the team to beat in terms of overall prowess in RU. Lighthouses is notably really strong. Again, you mentioned his RUPL where he did pretty good or very good in BO3. And even within that, when you look at the players he was playing, like he even has some wins in the BO3 format against people like the Franklin. In
Yeah.
week 4 of that RUPL, he beat Franklin in best of 3 pretty handedly. Like who I consider is the best RU player currently. So Lighthouse has the capability to beat pretty much everyone, and given the support that he has, I think he obviously can and will beat a lot of people in this pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the only maybe thing is that Diogo hasn't played like SCL in a while, so maybe people will underrate him a lot. But I feel like he's the dark horse of in terms of
Yeah,
like
I'm on
people.
board with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking up a lot of what y'all are putting down. Especially Slikkles, when you mentioned about being too honest, Fellyburn and Master Chief specifically have a little bit of a reputation amongst the RU players and I guess like team tour settings where they are very cheesable. They are they kind of have that reputation to be like, oh, you're playing Fellyburn, you're gonna tilt him if you bring some sort of HO nonsense.
Yeah.
And he that
Just don't
that
bring
that
skull.
reputation has followed him for a little bit, but we'll see if Lighthouses will, engage how Lighthouses method of building will engage with their method of building. I don't think they'd need a ton of outside support. I don't imagine they'd bring on many, if at all,
No.
anybody from outside their team. Uh, but yeah, I think this is definitely going to be one of the more interesting spots to see. Notably, this is a pretty big departure from Fellyburn's strategy last year. If y'all do remember, Fellyburn was also manager for the Gibbles last year. He's a returning manager. And he had Richard Mill playing, who had he had a nice, like, what's it called? Grand Slam run back then. But he isn't someone I don't think anyone would class as like an RU mainer. Lighthouse definitely is someone like more
More
familiar with the
familiar with the
community.
format, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing RUPLs. He is, in the RU court. He's throwing his name in
RU
discussions. He's on
Council,
RU
etc.
Council.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I mean, to
Oh,
cut
no,
you
go
off.
ahead.
I was just
I
going
was
to say
done.
that I think that you're right, that this is a deviation from his regular strategy. Last year, I think the strategy was just to get a good player and
Mhm.
have like Feely feed him teams, which worked for a little bit. I think RMP went 4-5, and that was very front loaded. Like he had the first few like weeks where he was like winning, winning, winning. But then afterwards he kind of fell off a little bit. So maybe that's the reason why he decided to change up his plans to get like a really established RE player this time.
Yeah, you are correct. By the way, he started off on a 3-game win streak, 3-0, and then ended unfortunately on a 1-5 slide. But sometimes that do be happening. Sometimes that does happen. But okay, that's the Gibbles. Any closing thoughts? Any things about them?
We love the Gibbles.
Sick. All right, moving on. Circuit breakers. So we go from probably the most Maynard-centric team to a very not so Maynard-centric team. They're starting ZabGB, otherwise known as Stretch. He does not actually have no experience in this tier. He did play SCL RU 2 years ago in 2024, and he did also play RUPL of that year. In both instances, he did tremendously. I think I actually do have the SCL4 pulled up because I just wanted to get this off the bat, like correct. I'm pretty sure he was best in pool. Yeah, he
He went
was. He went
7-2.
8-2.
Oh, 8-2, damn.
Yeah, he was eight and
Yeah.
two. So he was best in pool. Did tremendously in that same RUPL. I think he also did pretty tremendously. I don't have that pulled up. Apologies, y'all. I'm pretty sure he went like X1 or something though.
Yeah. It's
He did
probably
really
like
good.
6-2 minimum, yeah.
Yeah, no, he did really good. I'm pretty sure. Hey, Shake, was that the year y'all won the Contrast Supreme Overlord Juniors?
I believe that was that year. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was too. Was he on your team? I don't remember.
No, I don't. Wait, was it?
No, that
Maybe.
was 2023, no? Or was it 2024?
That's 2024.
Okay, so Stresh went 6-2 in
Yeah.
RUPL 7, and that's like
Okay.
pretty top tier. That
Yeah.
was not the team that he was. That was not when he was on my team. That was a
Okay.
year
Okay.
before that, I believe. But
Okay, something
Stretch
like that.
went 6-2 in RUPL 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stretch
He was
did
as
very
V1,
good.
right?
He has done very well. Beyond that, he is also just like a very accomplished player, like just accomplished player. He won OLT a couple of years ago. He's number 1 all time in the OM's Hall of Fame. Um, is just a very well respected player within the tournaments community. Um, Beyond his RU exploits, where he has obviously done quite well. Backing him up too, you have Nat and T Nunez. Nat is someone who used to be I think Nat came up in RU, like that used to be her home tier. It has since been a while since she's kind of frequented our sub forum tours and stuff like that, circuit, that type of thing. But still, a tremendous player, now very known for their OU exploits, a top caliber player in that regard. And Thiago Nunez, everyone kind of knows T Nunez. Mr. Brazil man himself, he's all over the place. Plays a ton of tiers, RU, PU, NU, really wherever you go to see a tour being played, decent odds you'll see T Nunez there. So, um, like I mentioned at the start, not a ton of RU specific support, I'll say, but as far as the player and the pedigree between all three of these guys, I still think this is probably a very strong core, and I personally would definitely put them in the upper 50%, maybe even higher than that. I mean, Stretch is definitely to me in a vacuum, he's a top 3, maybe even top 2 player. But what do y'all think about this team?
I actually disagree. I think he's top 1 player in
Yeah.
terms of
Same
just
for me.
overall
In
list.
terms of
If
overall
you took
level,
a
yeah.
Smogon player and you said you put them in a lineup with these being the starters, Stretch would be number 1. Just not in
Mm-hmm.
the context of RU specifically, but just as a player that can click the right move the most amount of times, I would probably
Did
put
I not say he
Stretch
was
number
a top
1.
2 player? Yeah, I said he was really good. He was top of the pool. What did I say?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
You said top 2, top 3. He's not top 2 or 3. He's top 1, I would say.
Yeah.
Bro,
For me,
But
he's
yeah.
top
that's because
one.
I was
One.
saying in the RU pool. I'm still taking Frank over
Okay,
him, but he's trash,
that's
bro.
fair. That's
Come
fair.
on.
For me,
That's
even in
fair.
the RU pool, he's top 1 because Stretch has it's not only about clicking. Stretch has crazy ideas. He knows what he does and he innovates a lot. So I feel like he's top 1 for me.
Yeah, I would not bat an eye if anyone said that this guy's the best player in the RU pool right now. That would be yeah, okay, fine, that's fine. It's between him and Franklin for me. If you said either or, I'd be yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't disagree in either case.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you have anything else to add about the team? Anything to add about Nat or T Nunez backing him, or we good to go to Terrors?
We're good.
I, I will add something is that I feel like Stretch will. It's for me. It's obvious he'll do very well. I think he may be either the first, but I feel like it's just a feeling he'll be the second best of the pool because someone will just hacks him or he'll get surprised by some random shit and he'll lose one. But
Mm.
for me, he goes very easily 6-3. I could see 7-2 without problem.
Mm. All right, cool, good stuff. In that case, let's move it on. Uncharted Terrors, and this is the obligatory. Well, normally it's I would say the obligatory RU Open winner, but in this year's sense, that was mind gaming, and he's doing other things. So instead, I will say the obligatory Grand Slam winner, Zugubo Royale. He did, in fact, win that entire tournament. He has that very nice teal trophy that, if we looked up his name, we could see. But yeah, that's him. He won this year, and pretty notably, also beat the Franklin, who was also in this pool, and someone we're going to get to right immediately after this. But I consider number 1 or number 2, along with Stresh, as best players, most threatening players in this pool. He beat him, and he beat him in RU to clinch the entire tournament for Grand Slam. So
Yeah, in game 5 as well.
in Game 5, that was the clinching match. So he's coming into this tour with a lot of momentum, taking down the tier leader, one of the better RU players right now, the Franklin in Slam, and he's backed up by Ampha. And I don't want to completely discount that, but Ampha does have a little bit of a reputation for being a non-builder, very much a pilot. who, in RUPL, I think he was getting flamed for bringing like sample teams and stuff to like weeks deep in the tour. So y'all can make of that what you will. Personally, I'm looking at this a lot of kind of Zugaboo Royale in a somewhat solo effort as far as the building wise comes. What do y'all think of this? What do you make of this pairing?
So I feel like,
go ahead.
yeah, thanks. I feel like Zugaboo is someone that gets a lot of shit because people think, yeah, he wrote mind gaming or whatever. But I feel like this is like a crazy breakout moment because he qualified for Classic, if I'm not wrong. He qualified for OLT, and he won Grand Slam. So he made playoffs of 3 major tournaments in like what 2 months. That's crazy, and I feel like the clicking is definitely there. And for me, he can definitely do very well, but I can also see him like be in the line of people who had a shining moment. I think of Abriel, you remember from 2024, who had a
Mhm.
great RE Open run and kind of fall short after. Yeah, that's what I remember. And I feel like Ampha comes within from a 6-1 in REPL. So the clicking is good. Yeah, he doesn't build, but he is someone who could be there just in case. I feel like there will need to be some form of support, like just people outside of the team to really thrive, though. But that's the
Yeah.
Germans who will probably be there.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with everything Slikkles just said. I'm very curious with this decision to get Ampha as the like support slot, if you want to call it that, because obviously we mentioned it twice already, but he's like very notably not a builder. He just doesn't want to do it. Obviously, I think he still provides value. He can be like a great person to play test games against, and also just as a backup in case Zugugu has to go away for whatever reason. Great backup option. But yeah, the support needs to be there from someone else, I would assume. I don't know who Zagubu got help from while he was doing his Grand Slam run or anything, but I'm sure that he could just grab help from them and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure, and if you remember that colored name self glaze post that he made at SCL commencement, I think he did mention that he was helping out Zubu. So
Yeah, he
who
was a
knows?
helper for Zugu. And I
Yeah,
and I
maybe.
think he was helped a lot even by a lot of German folks too. It's
Yeah, that's
basically
that's another pretty notable thing. The German community is very kind of
it's
tight knit
very
on the side. Mind
yeah,
gaming
they're
is
all
also
friends.
yeah, and mind gaming is included within that like group of people. Like they're very close with each other. They'll prep a lot with each other. They'll play a lot with each other. So you see Zugubo Royale, you kind of also take the assumption that okay, mind gaming is probably going to be somewhere
Mind
helping.
gaming
Maybe
for Ban
Fogbound Lake.
Lake, yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're like they'll be vaguely involved somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. But that's that. Zugable Royale, Ampha for the Uncharted Terrors. Next up, got the Power Plant Dynamos. So I just mentioned the Franklin is coming off of a very unfortunate Grand Slam Finals loss to Zugable Royale. But with that being said, I would still probably put him 1 or 2. You flip flop that with stretch, however you feel. I would put him 1. He is the #1 all-time leader in the RU Hall of Fame. Perennially good and like just kind of all over the place. I think he won seasonal again this year. Yeah, he won winter seasonal again.
Yeah.
That's like his like 3rd or 4th seasonal win. Did had a pretty good run in RUPL, made playoffs, stuff like that. Made finals for RU Open, which I think might have been the first time he's done that. He does a lot. For people in the know in the community, this guy really doesn't need a lot of introduction. But even for those who are kind of outside of RU, the list goes on of just stuff that he's done. SCL RU, he's played in this tour like 3, 4, 5 times or some shit at this point. Really good stuff. And his support engine isn't like too shabby either. I mean, Ruffles, I don't know if I'd really call him a support for RU, but he did, make Grand Slam playoffs, so he is a capable pilot. Metallica, he does everything, plays 1,000 tiers, preps 1,000 tiers, builds 1,000 tiers. People who have been around like the RU, or I'm sorry, not RU, just lower tier circuits in general know that Metallica is really about that life. From A to Z across all those low tiers. Flampoke is he's like a fair weather RU guy. You know, sometimes he'll be in RU cord, mostly during tournament seasons like RUPL. I guess SCL he recently joined back, but he is missing for most of the year. A little bit questionable where his RU know-how is at this point. And then also Brick, who is mainly an NU guy, but has recently made some endeavors in RU, and I think he's done pretty well for himself. He's pretty decently high on the circuit sheet. I want to say he's top 16. I'm pretty sure he's top 16. Um, but yeah, what do y'all make of the Dynamos?
So I think this is the best RU player, again, alongside Stresh. It's a toss-up 50-50 on who's actually the best one in this pool. But in terms of pure RU, like, name power, I think obviously if you say the Franklin, everyone in RU knows who that is. Everyone would say he's the best current RU player. Like, it's just so obvious. One thing to note is that Metallica, like, specifically really hates SVRU. I think last SCL he literally DM'd me being like, I hate RUSV. This is all HO or stall. Fixed tier
Yeah,
or
you
I
might be
not
thinking about
play.
RUPL because last SCL that guy was like doing some devious shit after he came off the bench. I mean, he was 3-1 to end the season off the bench. Like that's pretty good.
Oh yes, you're right. Sorry. It
It was
was
RUPL this year
RUPL,
because he
yeah.
was DMing
Yeah,
me too.
sorry.
He was like, "Bruh, I hate this fucking tier." He's like, "It's too
Yeah.
dishonest," and I'm like, "Okay."
It's so good. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is not that good right now, but I think he's warmed up to it a little bit more. He did recently reach out for a test, so that's cool. Like he's warming up to it again. We'll see how that plays out here. Maybe this will rekindle his love, or maybe it'll fan the flame of hate. We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. But it's good
Uh,
support either way. Like you said, he's really about that life. He plays every single tier ever. That's lower tier. Even though you actually he plays everything. Yeah, he's just a player. We'll say
mhm.
that. And then okay, notable thing about Flampope from last SCL, he was the only RU player to have 100% win rate. He went 1-0, and that's the only 1-0 player in SCL last year. So
That's nice.
there's
Yeah.
that. So yeah, but that again, nothing but platitudes for this team. Franklin is, my opinion, the best RU player currently of all time. Whatever, whenever. Yeah, and good support here as well. So should be good, I think.
Oh, I want to
Yeah,
add this too about the Metallica thing. I was when he was doing all that crashing out in RUPL, you know, that was still when we had like a few HO mons like Mienshao or whatever, and then they banned in like order. They banned Terra Blast, they banned Armor
Armor
Rouge,
Rouge.
and then
and
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Mienshao also somewhere in the middle got banned. So like, you know,
And
yeah,
History and
he was a
Hooligans
very
as
happy
well, right?
camper after all
yeah.
those
He's
bans
doing a
happened.
little. Maybe it was before. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, it was Mian Shao first, then Armor Rouge. So it's like Mian Shao, then Terra Blast, then Armor Rouge. And afterwards, I remember him on my DMs. He was like, "Yes, it's time to get back into RU. The tier is safe."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay."
but yeah, I
Uh,
feel like it's close between Stretch and Frank because I feel like in terms of pure clicking, Stretch is better, but in terms of like support, Frank couldn't have better support. Basically, he has like a lot of people who are very competent at the RU. So I believe I can see him being first without problem.
cool. All right, moving on. Slikkles. This is your team. This is the Orange Islanders. Everyone, give a little clap for Slikkles, the first time SCL draftee. Over to the Orange Islanders, who are fielding Rob Jr. as their SCL starter. Rob is another one of these old head SCL guys. He's played in a lot of these tournaments, especially in the RU tier, and he generally does pretty well for himself. Last year specifically was kind of a blip in the record. If I do remember correctly, he went 2-4 before hitting the bench for the kind of back end of that season, I guess. But in general, historically, he's put up very good numbers, very respectable numbers. And in my mind, specifically, this year is a very notable year because he did pretty good in RUPL. I think he ended positive for the first time in a very long
Like
time,
years.
this decade.
Years.
I don't know.
Years.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's some crazy shit like that. I remember I was talking to Master Chief or Alpha Rob, yeah, Master Chief about it, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, Rob Jr. is like this tour. He just can't fucking win in RUPL. Like he just loses all the time." And that might be his kryptonite, but not this year. So if he continues to trend upward, put on his clutch hat for SCL, that maybe he just fucking ends the tour, best record. Who knows? Franklin Stretch. move aside. Is Rob Jr. number one? But Slikkles, yeah. What this is your team? Talk to me about it. What do you think about this? Where do y'all, how have the vibes been? And yeah, are you excited for the season?
So basically, the first thing to note is that Rob Jr., I believe, already was drafted by Dave in the past. So
Yeah,
Dave
two
is
years
the
ago.
managers of the Islanders, basically, and they know each other. I believe they're good friends, and so yeah, there's already like this motivation to play for a manager that you have good vibes with. You did well with this manager, so I believe that's a big plus. I also Rob Jr. is someone that I was surprised was even more active than I anticipated, because I had rumors that he can kind of be like here and there. He won't talk a lot, but from what I've seen, he plays, he tests games, he asks advice, he asks questions. He's implicated, so that's a big plus. And I feel like maybe people underestimate him a bit after last year, but I feel like he's one of those people who will always do well in general. So besides our EPL, basically,
Hmm.
and the vibes are great. Rob Jr. and I are already best friends. We're gonna party together. Yeah, my we're gonna do a Discord call to party. So
Very cool. HJK, what do you make of it?
Yeah. Again, you mentioned that notably this is like the first time in years where Rob Jr. has had a positive RUPL, or sorry, any RU tour. I think even last SCL he did not that great in RU, but I
Normally it
think this is
does
like the
actually
first
do
time in a
pretty good in
while.
SEL RU. It's just only RUPL. It's weird.
yeah,
I don't really.
Last year in SCL he also went negative, I believe.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
like the
Yeah,
first time
so,
ever, I think.
He's the first time he went negative in SCL, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah, I think that's correct. So yeah, like this, he's had his slump and now he's over it. I think I don't know what it was, but he's over it, and I think he will be good. Slikkles obviously great support. Actually, I don't know how much I can say about this, but like before the draft or the auction, Slikkles was like on the radar of the Shoguns as well, as like a
Oh.
potential support. Obviously, I pushed for Heatran, and that's what ended up happening. But in another universe, it would have been Slikkles, probably on the Shoguns or Slikkles on some other team or something. Like Slikkles was a very sought after person. I think this is a year where Slikkles did exceedingly well, and he was on the radar of a lot of people. So good support pick. Rob Jr. obviously a good player. So yeah, nothing much else to say there.
Yeah, and I will give Slickles a little bit of flowers too, because I was talking about Rob Jr.'s RUPL, but Slickles actually did technically outperform him in terms of record, where I think he went, what, 5-2 in the regular
Yeah,
season?
fine too.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Um, and yeah, another golf clap for Slickles. Give him some flowers for that very impressive RUPL
Thank
performance.
you, thank you. But I
Um,
will remember that High Jump Kick said, "Fuck you, Slickles. We won Heatran." So I will block him after this video.
Yep, yep, that's what I said. I said that exactly.
Sick. All right, we got the technical machines up next. This is the Expulso team, and Expulso has kind of a reputation for being a guy who wants to invest kind of his money broadly across the board and invest specifically in a lot of new talent, which we see here with the Chungler. This is one of the like a true RU main that is making his first breakout onto the SCL scene. He had again a tremendous RUPL. That is
I
the
won,
I think
yeah.
main impetus behind probably his draft stock. I think he went what 6-1 if I'm not mistaken.
5-1, yeah. We didn't make playoffs. He wasn't on my team, but
5-1.
he 5-1, yeah. He didn't play last week, but
Okay,
he
I
did
see.
game. But he's like, yeah, he has high stocks at the moment. He's also helping for PU. He managed PUPL, so he
Hmm.
does his stuff.
Yeah, Jungler. He has he's that multi-threat tool PU RU that is very valuable. He signed up to play UU, which was interesting for me to see. I've not really known this guy as a UU player, but if I remember, actually, he did play UU, I think, for US Midwest this year in World Cup. So that might be where
Yeah,
that comes from. Um, I think he
this
did
is
pretty
not
good.
spicy fixing. Don't worry.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, he's great in RU. 5-1 RUPL record, obviously very strong, tremendous record. Um, he's a guy that I know pretty well. He came into kind of existence in the RU sphere at a similar-ish time as me back in 2024. And is one of the only people that, or not the only, like he is one of the most respected people in my mind as far as like player wise. I mean, just a good guy to have on the team. His vibes are always very high, and is a great like culture builder as well as being like a more than capable pilot. Backing him up are Denial, another like old head RU person. Um, Denial has done a ton for the tier, used to lead it, has done a lot for like our YouTube, like used to make thumbnails and stuff. Just is a great, again, community presence. I think has some tenure with the technical machines as well. They've like, even if Denial hasn't been on the team, has just been in team cord, team chats, talking with them for a while. And then Expulso, Booth, XEX. I don't really know if I'd really class any of them as like actual RU builders, like top tier support, but they are there. I mean, Expulso
They
did
gave
manage
inside
RUPL
basically,
two
yeah.
finals, so I mean
Yeah.
they got something going for him. Yeah. Uh, HJK, what do you think about this? This is as an RU quote unquote mainer yourself who had his breakout last year. I mean, we kind of see a similar thing happening for the jungler. How do you think he will
Yeah,
do?
this is pretty much what you said. This is RU Maynard getting his chance here off a very strong RUPL. Expulso is probably the like one of the better players to have this opportunity with. I think my breakout tour was RUPL under Expulso,
Mm-hmm.
like RUPL 5 or something, or maybe 6. When on the crunch wraps,
Oh,
where Expulso just
you're talking
dropped
about
me
RUPL
in.
11. HJK.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yes. Yeah, my bad. I was thinking of SCL. The numbers. The numbers
Yeah.
are getting
Word,
mixed up.
word.
But yeah, on the crunch wraps under Expulso was my like real breakout tour in RU. And Expulso was the one that gave me a chance, gave me a lot of support. I think he's gonna get that same feeling here. The jungler will get that same feeling with Expulso being very supportive and giving him what he needs to do to succeed. Hopefully he'll do well. Yeah, Denial, Booth, and XCX again. Also, I don't know if the latter two I'd consider to be like great support, but they're going to be support at the very least. And Denial again was a leader, is a pretty like notable member of the RE community. So there's that. Yeah, it's a good opportunity to perform well for the jungler here, is what
Yeah.
I'll say.
The thing is, the only hick I could see is that Denial had like a 1 year break, so she hasn't followed the meta. But for the last 2 weeks, basically before SCL, she was try harding, asking for test games, building laddering. So I think she'll get the hang of it very quickly as well.
All right. That is the technical machines. Next up, Mount Silver Foxes. Notably, this is the only one, Slikkles, that you did not put any support for. It's
I
just
didn't
Dubza.
I didn't find any support when I looked at the draft.
Yeah, and
Am I
I'm
wrong?
looking at this draft. We can beat Mount Silver Foxes second to the last. None of these players are really known. Even having like played RU at like, did any of these guys? Well, I guess
Oh, maybe
OBV
it
like two
plays.
like these guys played in
Yeah,
RUPL, but they don't play like
they play
SP
Sword and Shield.
RU.
Yeah,
So yeah, interesting stuff. But
wonder
Delta
if
is
there's
another one
more
of these
support.
top caliber, just like tournament players. You talk about like the likes of like Spitfire and Stresh and guys like that. I mean, Gary the Gengar, we'll get to him in a little bit, but he's kind of a guy who is a tournament player. He'll flex into a lot of tiers. UU, PU, NU, RU. Like, he has great results in all of them. He leads PU, and is a guy who shows up to RU sub form tours a lot. He plays in RUPL, played in RUCL, RU blind draft last year, RU World Cups. Like he's all over the place. So this is definitely not unfamiliar ground for him. As far as like the support, if he has to build for himself, I mean, he can for sure, but it's also not so hard for the Mount Silver Foxes to just shoot a DM to some notable RU builder and be like, hey, can we help out here? Can we get your assistance? So yeah, good stuff from them. Slikkles, what do you make of this? HAK does unfortunately have to bounce to play his seasonal game right now, so if we're still talking, which we probably will when he finishes up, he'll jump back. But Slikkles for now. Mount Silver Foxes, what do you got?
So I feel like Dugza is obviously like one of the more competent players in terms of role level. I believe the last time I've seen him play an official besides World Cup was uh, not this year's SPL, but last year's. where he was with the Tigers, if I remember, and he did pretty damn well. Obviously, Doug's someone who you can trust on, very a big yapper, so you know he'll bring vibes. Someone who I believe beat my ass 3 times in sub-form PLs, so he's kind of like he knows his stuff. But yeah, I my only fear with Dogza is he doesn't really have support on the team, and most people who will support, I feel, will go to other teams. I could see, but because I don't think Dogza is friends really with some of the RE names who kind of got snubbed, like Yuming or LBN. I don't think he's like as close to ask them to support, but I feel like in terms of role building, in terms of role playing, he's on the top half for me.
I like how you just had to slide that little bit about me getting snubbed in. I really appreciate that, Slikkles. That was very nice of you. Not actually. That's I'm heated, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see where you're, kind of what's it called? Like you have question marks around like the support for him, but Dogsa I think is a pretty self-sufficient player. Um, we'll see, if he does reach out to support, where that'll come from, if we'll be able to tell, or if they'll be like, transparent with like who they're asking, or if it's, if Doug's if he's one man arming it, I mean he's one man arming it. Could happen. Could happen. We've seen crazier stuff, pop off in SCL. So okay, that is the amount of. Oh, also notably, so these last two teams are like historically tragic franchises through bad luck or whatever have you. The Silver Foxes and the Indigo Platoons, at least in recent memory, have been in a little bit of a slump, ending like 9th place, 10th place, 8th place, somewhere in that mix for the past like 2, 3, 4 SCLs. So we'll see if there are you guys can be the ones to lead the charge. The Silver Foxes we just talked about, they have Delta, and now the Indigo Platoons, they are taking the route of just picking an old gens mainer, or mainer, like an old gens like notable player, and Gary the Gengar, throwing him in SVRU and be like, okay, learn the tier, learn the generation, you got us. I'm not super familiar with Gary the Gengar beyond the fact that he won 3 Black-White Classic Cups in a row in consecutive fashion, which is ridiculous, tremendous, like turbo impressive. Like you can give any amount of exclamations you want to that feat. I just don't know if it'll transfer to SVRU. Like the tiers are so different, the Mons lists, the mechanics, all of that. And his support even isn't something that I would write home about either. CLL and Esteban. Esteban, that is the RU circuit winner for 2025, but he also just hasn't
Had a great break.
been
Yeah.
here. Like
Yeah.
he just hasn't played any games this year since circuit. I don't know if he's played in any like subforum circuit PL anything.
No,
In
he took a break
26.
basically. He retired for a bit.
Yeah, so I get he unretired for SCL. Look at that. And CLL is he is a little more active, right? So he does play in subforum tours. Played in RUPL stuff like that. Participates in our RU subforum tours, or RU circuit tours, but not exactly someone you'd put like top of the list as far as like the RU minds, building wise, and stuff like that. So the platoons are definitely the biggest question mark to me. What is Gary the Ganger going to do? Is his skills going to transfer? And is his support enough to kind of get him over the hump as far as like the learning curve, getting used to SV and SVRU? Slikkles, it is pretty notable too that Ciala and Esteban both French. So what do you think about this? Do you think the French brain trust will be enough to get Gary the Gengar up to speed?
So for having teamed up with Esteban, I feel like Esteban is pretty damn active. He knows his stuff. Very nice guy. So he's also a friend with Cielo.
Active?
In terms of like when he's in the tour, he's active. Not like in terms of joining tournaments, but when he was in my low tier World Cup team, etc., he was building, he was testing stuff like that. So you can count on him to give ideas, give input, even if he mains NU mostly. So Cielo is someone who went 6-3 in this RUPL, who's a pretty damn impressive scorer, like. But his main drawback is he doesn't build a lot. He's more of a someone who knows the tier and will pilot it to a pretty damn good degree. So this is where my fear is that Esteban and Cielo haven't builded in the tier for for at least 6 months, I would say.
Yeah.
Cielo, yeah, and Gary the Gengar, I think, will be someone who could do way better than expected, kind of like Crystal last year, who was supported by Flame Poke or Mareep, who name changed, and Crystal, I believe, went 5-3, something like that, or
5-3.
5-3, yeah. So that's crazy because she didn't even know what Terra was, basically. I feel like Gary has more familiarity with stuff like the modern gens, not by a lot, but Black and White is more similar than DPP to SV. So I feel like he will struggle maybe in the first weeks, but he could get the hang of it and do really well after.
Word. And it is notable too. They could always just go to the like crystal methodology of winning, and this would just cheese every week. Like that is kind of the big storyline last year too. It's like you started off a little bit, well, to be fair, it was versus HJK and Franklin, but then afterwards, started picking up like a little bit more cheese centric options and started winning a lot. So that is always an option, and that's literally an option for everybody in the pool, right? You could just be like, hey, let me roll the dice HO every week. I mean, that's basically what he flips a coin and
yeah,
HO
that's what
stall,
HJK does. Yeah.
Yeah. So you always have that option on the table.
Yeah, I feel like this will work not as well this year because I remember last year's meta was very prone to like cheesy structures because you couldn't cover everything offensively unless you played Stole, basically, who covered most of them. But I feel like this meta is more bulky offense, stuff like that. Balance offense. HO is quite underexplored, so maybe there will be some cooking and we'll see that HO is still that good. But
HO is underexplored?
In this metagame, I believe it is. I've
that's
seen.
I'm not gonna lie, Slikkles. That's like a crazy. Like I don't know. I mean, perhaps you could say like with the Armor Rouge ban, the Terra Blast ban.
Nobody uses Dragon Dance Altaria still. Like, what are people doing?
Okay, that's not like people are not actually using Dragon Dance. That's not something that's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, hyper offense, as it has always been with like SV across any iteration, like literally any point in the gen, just by the nature of having Terra and stuff like that, HO will be relevant. It'll be like strong. I'm sure we'll see a healthy, share of HO throughout the, kind of extent of this tour. But we'll see. I do agree that, I think that bulky offense, fatter teams have had more success. Yeah. They've been able to thrive a little more than they maybe have in the past. And we'll see if that reflects itself in the play this year. But Slikkles, you actually did have a little ranking down here too about where you think you would you had everyone listed here. Do you still believe in this? Yeah, Stress 1, Frank 2, HJK 3, all these guys. Like, do you still think this is where you'd have them after talking about them in this video?
I believe maybe the only person I would really change is Diogo Lighthouses. I would put him 6th or 7th.
Okay. You think he'll do better than Spitfire and Jungler? Okay.
I feel like the support, Feli support plus Diogo chemistry is kind of crazy. So I believe maybe I underestimated a lot Diogo.
Yeah, for sure. Zugabu at 5. That's a little bit of a hot take in my opinion. That's quite high. I think he's top 50%.
I had him when I was talking because this is basically the ranking that we put for the power ranking, the official power ranking of the SCL. I had Spitfire first at 5th and Zugu as 6th, but my team said they believe Zugu is him basically. So
that's interesting. That is very interesting, actually. Yeah, I did not make a post here. I don't think HJK made a post either. So if he gets back from his set before we finish up, we'll ask him about that. But as far as me, I agree with your like top end for sure. So
Yeah. I feel like the
Josh 1,
top
Frank
3
2,
is like
HJK 3.
pretty. Top 4 is pretty set, basically.
I would swap that. I would put Frank at number 1 just because I believe in the record. I believe in the consistency.
Yeah, I can
I
see
would
that
have
basically. Yeah, that for me isn't the problem. I could see.
I got
You can swap the
Frank
two.
1. You got scratch it 2. I think HJK at 3 is like reasonable. You consider what he did last year. They're kind of running it back. They are the champions. He is kind of like the guy to beat because we won the tour. I think that's very reasonable at 3. Doug's at 4. I like that. I like Doug's at 4. We didn't. I feel like we didn't give him enough credit when we talked about him in like in his little section, but he really is like a truly tremendous player.
Oh
His
yeah.
versatility is like one thing, but he is just like a very top end player. Even in this year's RUPL, I'm pretty sure he went like 3-1 or 3-0 in SV. It was something like that. I think it was three
I
and
think
something.
he only played 2 games of SV or 1, but he won all his SV games basically.
No, I feel like it was 3 though. I can't. Oh, maybe I think about Master Chief. I might be thinking about Master Chief for
Yeah, I think
like a
it's
bunch of
Master
games in
Chief,
SV.
but
Well, regardless,
Doug's
I know Doug's he did play a few games of SV in this year's RUPL, and he did very well. So,
yeah,
um,
someone you can trust, someone who's reliable. I
mhm.
believe he's also someone who has a lot of great ideas to innovate the meta. So I feel like 4th is definitely deserved for him.
Yeah, I think Doug at 4 is very good. Here's where I'm gonna actually mix up like quite substantially. I think though, I'm not very high on the Zugaboo stocks. I am very high on my man's the Chungler. I'm putting him at 5. I think he's finishing top 50% of this pool. This
Wow.
is someone
Okay.
who's played him a bunch over the years. Like I've seen how he preps, like how he's committed to like the tier, committed to building, all of that. I think he'll get into it with this team, and I don't really uh, like I think he has that potential to do like just very well, and I'm gonna like bet on that. So I would put him a couple spots higher. I'm having him at 5th. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
also
fair.
gonna keep Spitfire. I'm basically just gonna flip flop Zugaboo and Chungler. Actually, that's not even
Okay.
true. I'm bumping Lighthouses. Spitfire at 6. Let's start there. Spitfire at 6. I think it's cool. He did have a great showing last year with the machines. He ended 4-1. That was pretty cool. Like a somewhat bright spot on an otherwise sinking season. Uh, he does a lot of like other kind of like I know him as a Sword Shield PU player. Like as someone who's played in the Sword Shield PU like pool the past couple PUPLs, like he's just a very good Sword Shield PU player. Very strong fundamentals. And beyond that, like I know he flexes into a bunch of slots for stuff like lower tier World Cup where he played RU, like actual World Cup where I think he was a UU guy. I might wait.
You
He might have.
you
I'm
or
pretty sure he was UU,
Suggs?
right? Pretty sure he was UU.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it was you.
he's another one of those guys who plays a lot of tiers, is very confident in all of them. Um, and even so, I mean, I'm putting him at 6, and that's not necessarily because like he's not good. It's just everyone else is really strong.
No,
Um,
this pool is really good in general. Like, I
yeah,
don't think anyone in this pool is like remotely close to being mediocre. All these
yeah.
people deserve 2 stars.
At 7 though, 7 I'm gonna bump up Lighthouses. Again, I feel like he should be higher considering he has the Felibird and Master Chief support, and their rapport over the years. But I don't know. I feel like I have to have him at 7. Um, he has had a very strong RUPL season, and since then he's done some stuff like qualify for RU Ladder Tour. And stuff like that. I think he played RU in PTPL. I don't know if he's recaptured that same magic he had in RUPL. Um,
I believe he went like very positive in PTPL. I think he
and
went
that is something that
six
I'm just
one,
interested. Is
six
that
one,
it?
something
I
like
don't
that.
know. If that is, then
But
that's cool for him. I'm thinking of his RU Ladder Tour thing where I just played him like in round 1, and I don't know. He flip turned into a Gastrodon with no prior knowledge, and I was like, what is going on now? That's neither here nor there. I just want to see him put up some consistent numbers first before I fully, put my stock into Diogo. Uh, and because of that, I think I just have to have him at 7. Um, again, Felibur and Master Chief support, you really can't underrate that though. So if you wanted to bump him higher, I would see it. I don't know. 7 just feels right. Um,
yeah, I think
where's that at?
he's kind of like the
Yeah.
thing where we haven't seen Diogo on SCL, or he wasn't ever in SCL. I believe he was in Snake Draft last time. So it's been a while, but he told me he was confident he will do well. So that's also a plus. He's going with a headstrong, ready to give his best.
Yep. Then you also admitted this guy because he's on your team, but Rob Jr. It might be crazy, but I think
Come on, say it. Yeah, I'm in the pool. I'm a
don't know Rob Jr.
moderator.
I'm gonna put Rob Jr. at 8. I'm fine with that, just because of his thing last season where he like had a 2-6 showing. Got to give me a little more than that. He historically has been very consistent, and this year's RUPL, we talked a lot about how he's very good in that. He did go 4-3. That's still just 4-3. I don't know. The last year thing is still pretty fresh in my mind, so we'll see how it goes. I think he could very well be like above Jungler, above Spitfire, above those guys, but maybe a little bit more question, maybe a little bit of a question mark, just
Okay,
because of
yeah.
the recency thing. And that's not to discredit you either, Slikkles, as support, but this is
Nah,
your first
don't
time
worry, don't
in
worry.
SCL, and kind of being a dedicated support in this type of tournament will come with some unique challenges that I think you'll just kind of figure out as you go. But
Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. I
best
believe
of luck
in
to
my boy.
y'all.
That's
I
what
will
matters.
have you at 8. I will have you at 8. Zuckerberg Royale, I have at 9.
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Hey,
Hello, HJK. Did you win?
I did. Sick.
nice.
We were just talking about overall rankings. So far, I
Yeah.
said I had mine as
Franklin first
Frank number 1,
for
Stretch number 2, you at 3, Doug at 4. I put fucking Chungler at 5 because that's my dog, and I think he's gonna do like fantastic.
I have Jungler at 4.
Oh, see, that's what
Oh
I'm saying.
wow.
He's bruh. But anyway,
Yeah.
Chungler at 5. Who did I say was? Oh, I said Spitfire at 6
6
again.
Spitfire. 7
Diogo at
Diogo.
7.
7
Yeah, Diogo at
Diogo.
7.
8
I put
Rob.
Rob Jr. at 8 just because of the last year thing. That's still in my mind. I want to see something from him, like just basically. I don't know. I just want to see a couple weeks from him, see how it goes with the Slickle support. Then I can buy in more. At that point, maybe I bump him up. But I think him at 8 right now. Then I'm going to close it. I'm going to do Zugaboo at 9. I really don't believe that Zugaboo Royale in RU is like, I don't know. I just don't. Cause I remember like playing him in RU Open and him bringing that like Trick Room team, and it just didn't work. And I'm like, HO Merchant, probably just going to be an HO style merchant. And nothing wrong with that. Like HJKU partake in that, but I don't think he's going to be this. I don't think he's going to have the same level of success, perhaps. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
really believe in that a ton right now. And then Gary the Gengar 10, I think that's fine. Like this is just like a name recognition thing. I just don't really know about him in SV stuff like that. Black White Goat,
Yeah.
sure, but SV are you know what I'm saying? So we'll see. HK, what would you do with your set of rankings?
I have a quick one here. So I already filled out you had to fill it out for the power ranking. So I'm just gonna go the same order. I think most of us agree on this list with like a few in betweens, like can switch around like Frank Stresh versus like Chungler Lighthouses or whatever. So mine goes Franklin, Stresh, Ugsa, Chungler, and then here is like probably the biggest disparity. I have Gary at 5th.
Gary at 5.
And that's only
Damn.
Okay, because
okay.
he is, according to my sources, Gary is like like an amazing player. Like he might be like stress level in terms of clicking. It
Oh,
seems
okay,
to be
okay.
like the consensus among the people that I am talking to. So because of that,
Okay.
I have Gary at 5th, and then after that, Lighthouses, Zagubu, Spitfire, and Rob Jr. The only reason I have Rob Jr. at last is because this is going to be his first time since that RUPL where he's had a positive like RUPL, and then again last year he had a pretty lackluster SCL. So just based on the stats, I had to put him there. But yeah, Gary might be like first or last too. Like this is completely toss up, but I just threw him there because people are telling me
So you
that this
put him
guy's
in the
like
middle,
amazing
like
at
maybe
clicking.
it will work out. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Gary, he is definitely like the X factor in this pool. I think it's because it's like you
Yeah,
don't win back to back to back, classic cups without being like one of them ones, but
Like
also to be
amazing.
black and
Yeah,
white
like
and
literally.
yeah.
SC. I don't know. Um, but another kind of just talking point that me and Slikkles went over a little bit is just this is just one of the stronger like pools in recent memory that I can think of at least. Um,
Yeah. For
like
me, it's
I see
like,
a very I see a lot of people who I think could do just like tremendously. Um, I love to see some more of like the like Maynard love with Jungler making it here again. You reprising your role. Lighthouses making the cut this time. And then we got like the fucking Open winner and Zuckerberg. Or I'm sorry, we got Grand Slam winner and Zuckerberg Royale. Stretch. One of them
we got
goats.
Frank
Franklin number
always.
one all time. Gary Gengar back to back to back. There's a lot of power in this pool.
Yeah,
Um,
this pool is very hype, I believe. So I'm excited to see what everyone will do.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, those are kind of my closing thoughts. I think this is a tremendous pool. I think this is one of the higher powered, at least as far as I've been in RU. So since 2024, this
Yeah.
is probably the strongest RU pool that I've seen. And that's from like the players to like even the supports. I think are quite good. Um, yeah, those are kind of my closing thoughts. Y'all, anything to say to the people before we close this one?
And thoughts really excited about this pool. Should be good games no matter who plays who. Really strong pool, like you said. So really excited for this upcoming season.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, he's doing God's work. Yes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment too. We love that engagement.
Support our TP.
Yep. Okay. I think that is that though. Thank y'all for watching a little bit. We're watching all of it, however long y'all have been here with us. Remember to do all that good stuff, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And to everyone involved with SCL, I hope this will be like a thrilling tournament. I think it will be. I think it'll be a great time. And even for those of us who are just like spectating, be sure to tune in on our YouTube. We'll be doing some coverage week to week as far as like hype games, the standings, stuff like that. Kind of like we did a couple years ago. We'll be trying to revive that. So until next time, bye.
Peace.